I made a video about maybe 2 weeks ago where I was talking about the flute and me learning the flute. The flute has just been resting in this cage since then, so I haven't practiced yet. But I have used quite a lot of time practicing on this instrument. I gave around $300 for this. And I wanted to start learning the trumpet because I have been composing for some years now. I said in my first video about the trumpet that even though how great sounding samples you can find on the internet, that sounds so realistic and organic, it's not 100% there. I'm not saying that samples are bad. There are some amazing sample libraries out there. Since I have been striving to try making it sound as realistically as possible, then why not just try to learn some real instruments? So in order to make the sound on the trumpet, you need to into the mouthpiece, and then the trumpet makes the sound for you. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to sound good at first. You have to develop some muscles around your mouth. That is called embouchure. When you are playing the trumpet, there are two ways to change the notes. You are using the valves. These are letting more air go through more pipes, which makes the sound lower. There was one specific thing, I wasn't sure about the trumpet why it was doing this, and that was why it was popping. I found out that this was called the overtone scale, I think. So I'm not using any valves to change the notes, that's just me doing that with my lips. There is one thing I found quite weird about the trumpet, and that is when you are not pushing any buttons and you are playing the lowest tone, it's called a trumpet C. But if I'm playing the identical note on the trombone, it's called a B flat. I have also recently used some time to practice on the violin. I first started playing the violin when I was 17 years old. I was playing the violin for two and a half years, and then I have almost not touched it since then. This is a very cheap violin. It's worth around $300 too. I have only played the trumpet for like 3 months, and I still think I have a better sound on the trumpet than the violin, even though I have played the violin for 3 years. It's a much more challenging instrument to play in tune. However, there is one specific thing that is much harder on the trumpet than the violin, because of the embouchure, the muscles in my lips. I'm always tired in my lips. I can't practice on the trumpet more than maybe 15 minutes at a time, because my lips get so tired and I can't reach up to the higher register. I have been experimenting with some composing using both the violin and the trumpet together. I have watched some videos about scales and modes and how established composers are using those to make film scores, for example. A very known composer is John Williams. He is known for using a scale that's called the Lydian Scale. It's used in movies like Star Wars, E.T. and Jurassic Park. The Lydian Scale is almost like the regular major scale. But the fourth step is risen by a semitone. It has a much more bright and uplifting feeling, and a bit quirky and adventurous, compared to the regular major scale. I was a bit curious about how a person like me, who has not too much experience with playing orchestral instruments, how that would sound like if I was trying to imitate that kind of that stereotypical Hollywood sound. Of course, it would be very delusional and arrogant if I believed that I was able to imitate that perfectly. But it's still a very fun thing to experiment with. So on my first try recording the violin about a week ago, I had a belief that since I haven't played and I was afraid to play out of tune, it was easier to play spiccato. But I found out that was actually a very challenging technique. So I thought that because since the notes were shorter, it would be easier to camouflage that it was out of tune. That didn't work out. You can clearly hear that it is out of tune. I wasn't that afraid to play the trumpet because yes, you can play out of tune when you are playing the trumpet, but it's much easier to not because you have those valves that you just press. The piece uses the Lydian scale, so instead of this, it's this. So in this piece I was just using spiccato for the violins. I was also curious how it would sound like if I was playing more legato. The next piece is a bit longer. I still use the violin and the trumpet to make an accompaniment for a solo trumpet. Compared to the first piece where the violin had 2 voices, now it has 3 voices. For each voice I am recording the violin 5 times, so that is 5 times 3. So this is an ensemble of 15 violins. And it's the same with the trumpet. It's 3 voices instead of 2, so 15 trumpets? No! It's only 3 trumpets each voice. So it is 3 times 3 on the trumpet, so it is 9 trumpets and 15 violins, plus 1 solo trumpet. Even though the samples on my PC sounds much better than me playing these instruments, I still think there is something extra and more powerful with the real instruments. So hopefully I will keep practicing and then get some results out of it, so I am able to actually use these instruments for legit projects. That would be so cool. I still don't know how long that would take though, because when you hear professional musicians talking, they have played for not months, not years, but decades.